Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spartan Rangers podcast. I am your host, Kenny, and I am joined here with Jacob and Morgan. Morgan, you're new here, so introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Morgan, M&M Jax on Twitter. I love Zack Snyder and Legend of Zelda and writing, and that's pretty much it.
Sounds good. And of course, we have Jacob here. If you remember from the first episode we did. And now we shall get into what's new in the world of entertainment. First, I want to talk about is the Netflix news about Power Rangers being removed from Netflix after January. And I have a theory about this, but Jacob, since you're huge into Power Rangers, also, what is your thoughts on this?
I feel like this is just a real betrayal to everyone who likes Power Rangers growing up. And plus, I mean, the only place I know I could, watch Power Rangers is Netflix. That's it I know of, but not sure about where I can stream it at. And plus, it's the only place I want to watch Power Rangers. And plus, who doesn't like Power Rangers on Sanban era?
I have a theory. I think because Hasbro has been saying they have a lot of huge stuff coming out this year that they have planned for and they haven't yet to announce. I think they are going to be moving Power Rangers to Tubi TV, which is where a lot of their other Hasbro content already is, or they are making their own streaming service, which Power Rangers will move to, or they just haven't renewed the contract yet. Those are my three guesses. Which one do you think is more likely?
Possibly be in a new streaming service era.
Yeah.
That one wouldn't surprise me if they are making their own streaming service because it seems like everyone's trying to get on that bandwagon now.
Mm-hmm. God forbid I see Bayformers right next to Power Rangers.
I mean, the movies are bad, but they're not that bad,
No, they're not. I was joking there with, but I go on to Hasbro Plus and I see Transformers: The Last Night next to Saban's Power Rangers, the movie. I'm going to flip.
I don't know if I would be able to even get another one. I'm piggybacking off of so many other people for all my streaming stuff. Like, it's
I
a
get
little
you.
ridiculous.
But
man.
With that aside, we also heard Wonder Woman 3 is already planned.
Yep.
I don't know what to expect from it after Wonder Woman 84. I gotta be honest. Because it seems like there's a few different directions that Patty could go to follow up with that, follow up after that. And I don't know if they're necessarily good directions after what I saw from the past couple of days.
I mean, the worst comes to worst, she could just end up like the female Michael Bay of cinema.
I mean, I guess there would be worse fates in Hollywood.
Normalize bad female directors.
I feel like she kind of got trapped in that web of nostalgia,
Yeah.
Like,
and let me rephrase that. I mean, normalize female directors making bad movies. There.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, actually, something that my friend Dave pointed out, I think it was yesterday, is that like Patty Jenkins has a particular style with her movies, and Wonder Woman 84 felt very different from the last few movies that she made.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help but wonder, if this is like a BDS Suicide Squad situation.
Oh, yeah. But do you think there's still a good chance? There's chance that Wonder Woman 3 could be good.
I think if she gets a better screenwriting team together, she should be fine.
Yeah, I'd say
the story is good, but it's just how it translated to screen, there was some stuff that was just it reeked of someone who doesn't actually know how to write.
Mhm.
I
I
think
feel
you mostly blame
Do
it
you
on
think
Ron.
Jeff Johns had too much input there? Because I know that he's been known to be a huge Donner fanboy,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
they said this was a homage to the Donner movies.
yeah, that would make sense because that I just
Mhm.
some of the
Aside
stuff
from
that
that, which
made it in
we
movies.
yeah, aside from that, since we'll go more into that on our main topic, we do know that BVS will be re-released in IMAX,
I'm
IMAX
so
edition.
excited.
which
Dude,
I'm curious. What is it going to be? Is it going to be like Transformers: The Last Night, where the aspect ratio randomly changes throughout the movie, or is he actually going to be digitally adding extra to the parts that weren't shot in IMAX?
I hope
can
it's
do
not
that.
just
That is possible to
expanding
do.
the-
I've seen it
expanding
done
the entire
before.
ratio, man. Like expanding the ratio to be from standard to
Uh-huh.
a huge square
So then,
version.
so I'm
I mean,
assuming then he's gonna have to some parts are he's gonna either have to crop to fit with the rest, or they're going to digitally add more using AI, because that is possible to do. I've seen it done before. I've seen it where where the computer can read the screen and pretty much predict what the pixels underneath will be like. Do
possibly,
you
yeah.
think they're going to crop the scenes that weren't shot in IMAX to fit with the IMAX, or do you think they will digitally
Definitely no
fill in that spot, digitally fill in those
expanded,
black bars?
expanded, dude, expanded, not
Okay,
crop it.
awesome. Okay, so
yeah.
then
And
you're
also,
going with the digital thing then?
I
yeah,
hope
and
so.
also what I think they're gonna be more extended scenes, man. More extended scenes. Like we didn't see the part
I
where
hope
Lois.
so
I mean,
too.
Superman. I mean, okay, guys, have you seen the part where Henry Cavill, where you have Superman in the bed with Lois and Lois is trying to wake him up? And then did you ever
Yes,
see the part where
I
okay,
saw the
remember?
pics of it.
But have you ever seen the part where you have where this? Well, remember last year there was a scene supposedly where Clark is trying to find his mom, but nowhere in Gotham because the entire world's already the entire Gotham City is a crying help. Or the time where you see a different shot of Gal Gadot in a different dress she's wearing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark? You think we're gonna see an extended cut, like more minutes in?
Ultimate Edition Plus. I think there's a good chance that we'll get some extra little goodies when it re-releases, and I can't wait for it. I've already watched BVS so many times. I can't wait to see something new in it.
I've seen as far as the IMAX stuff go, I've seen the leak. Apparently someone actually leaked out the IMAX version, or one of the IMAX versions from a while ago. Because I know they released it in IMAX back when it first came out, and the whole movie wasn't in IMAX, but they I believe from what I heard, the aspect ratio changed throughout. So we're not seeing the one that was released in theaters, in IMAX theaters. We're seeing a fully IMAXified version.
It's going to be exciting. My
I'm
wallet
excited to
is
see.
not going to be happy with me, though.
I'm gonna be excited to see the entire film to be one big square.
Uh-huh. And then beyond that, Godzilla vs. Kong has an official release date now. It's in April, or we have a month. I don't remember the date, but I know it had a month. It's going to be in April. What are you guys' thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong?
Most of that stuff has gone right over my head, except for the silly Twitter rivalries over which one's going to win.
Fair enough. Did you see the last one though?
Kong Skull Island.
King of the Monsters.
Oh wait, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Right? Yeah, I saw that one once. I think it was interesting. I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember I liked it.
I find, you know,
It's a
Yeah.
bit on the nose with the like environmental message, though.
Yeah.
I find
But yeah, the next one is supposed to take place right at or shortly after that. And they have not released a trailer at all yet, or all that we have is toys, basically, and 2-second clips.
one from Brazil Comic Con, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta love when they undermarket something that's supposed to be their big money maker, huh?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen that happen with the studio. I'm just surprised that it keeps on happening. And it's like, gee guys, I wonder why the movies aren't doing as well as you want them to. Could it be that you didn't market them at all?
Yeah.
Who knows?
The last thing I want to bring up before we get into our main topic. This is kind of old, but it's still kind of interesting to me, and I want to get your guys' opinions on it. I don't know if you guys have heard, but I don't know if you guys have heard, but the this character called the Shadow. I've mentioned to him on Twitter a lot before. He is getting a novel series that is supposed to be published at the by, or it's supposed to release fall of this year, and it's the intent of it is to jumpstart a movie series. Like that is the intent for why it's being written. They're fishing out novels to get people interested in the character again to make movies, basically.
I mean,
what are your thoughts on this and that way of doing it?
I feel like it kind of, I wouldn't call it disingenuous, but I have a lot of affection for just books in general.
Mm-hmm.
But something just feels icky about the idea of a book being written specifically to make a movie off of it.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems icky.
That's at least how the article had presented it, because it presented it as James Patterson is writing shadow novels with the hopes of making with the hopes of sparking interest in making movies off of it.
I mean, I guess in that way, that makes a bit more sense. I guess I was processing it in a different way.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I don't know. Do you think this character has a chance of actually getting enough of a market to make movies off of? Do you think you should just leave him in the obscurity? What do you guys think?
I think it depends on what the writers are. It depends on how good the writers are, I think.
Depends on how it depends on how
Yeah,
the
'cause
story's gonna be,
the writers-
taking place.
I mean, as much as I like the Last Attempt did not receive well.
Well, that's the thing, is that hopefully they've, for one thing, learned their lesson. For two, found a good team for it. And for three, that team knows how to do, like, that's any good team can figure out a compelling story for any character. That's the thing.
If you ask me, I would have preferred take the shot in a timeline that's not very, like anesthetic, but more like kind of like when it's the 1930s where everything was gray as possible, and plus maybe possibly have a little bit better, good, shots involved with great scenes, and also how about great writing that involves with it? I mean, who doesn't want, doesn't, I mean, I'm pretty sure the reason it needs is like somehow like kind of like, crime stories supposed to be dark and gritty.
Mm-hmm. I think if they handle it like Netflix's Daredevil or BV or how Batfleck was handled in BVS or something of that level, I think it could take off.
Yeah, it depends on how it's presented to the audience.
Yep.
Because that's the thing, is that the audience has to be receptive, or no matter how well put together it is. We've seen this with Zack Snyder's movies. It has to be well received, because no matter how well constructed it is, if people don't like it, then they're just not going to like it.
I define that Rotten Tomato world should not be received at all. I mean,
you have to find that ground. I know Sam Raimi. Last I heard, Sam Raimi was tied to direct. directed whenever it got off the ground. But then I heard he was tied on at one point, but then the pandemic happened, which blew off all contractual plans and such. Or that's what I heard, at least.
The
So,
pandemic had a way of
and
getting everything.
Rami has been chasing this film project since the 80s. In fact, his movie Dark Man was a rewrite of his Shadow script. Because he had wrote a Shadow script back in the 80s, and that became Dark Man. Because he couldn't get the licensing.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that's about it for movie news and such. I'm gonna pull Julian now since he's responded. All right. So Julian has just dropped in. Sweet. So now we are talking about Wonder Woman 84. First, you will just go through the synopsis of it, and then good, bad, and final thoughts. So,
Okay.
Anyone want to do the synopsis, or do you want me to go?
I mean, how many times have you watched it?
Well, I saw it twice. Once at home and once in theaters.
Okay, well, and if you've seen it, okay, wait, Jacob, maybe you're the most qualified to talk about it since you've seen it the most.
Okay. Wonder Woman 84 takes place at the 1980s, and it talks about Maxwell, wants to be a world, be the richest and be, powerful and be the one who holds the world. And then when he absorbed that crystal that he had, he becomes a crystal, and then and Diana has to stop him. But what comes along is Cheetah, and Steve is back in the 80s. World of 80s of the DC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, watching the Wonder Woman 84, I find it's like a way that's okay. If Wonder Woman originally had an 80s film, I mean, originally you're supposed to be a Linda Carter film with Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, but since the film got cut and got canceled, I feel like this is like a tribute to Linda Carter's way, where the 80s had her film, and also, I mean, I like the film, and I wish they kind of did a little bit better with the script without Jeff Johns' too much of his influence, but
less said about that, the better.
I do like the beautiful life scene where it represents Diana and Bruce Wayne's, way of how with truth and lie, the balance of it. And also, as for Maxwell, he's not that evil. He's just a guy who wants to be a somebody who's rich and who has everything that he wants, but he doesn't realize the thing you need is there, not what that you've been built by fear and hatred.
I honestly feel like a lot of that came out with Max in when he gave the wish to the president and was like, and in return I take all of the respect you command and the command everyone must respect. I feel like that was the point where he's just like, I can have everything. I can get all of that. So I mean, he's kind of an idiot, but I don't think that he was like setting out to be evil when he started.
No one ever does.
I thought Pedro Pascal was definitely one of the best parts of that movie.
I agree with that.
Okay.
He did well.
Now we should talk about who actually liked the movie and who didn't.
Okay. I liked it. I have criticisms, but I liked it.
Okay, so
more toward like
Jacob and Kenny both liked it. Morgan, you're so on the matter.
What's funny is this is positioned so weirdly. What's funny is the thumbs up are on the top and the thumbs down are on the bottom.
At least on your screen.
How the cameras are positioned.
Morgan, I can barely hear you, and I'm not sure anyone else can hear you either. You'll need to turn up.
I can hear him fine.
Okay. Oh, well, I can't. I don't know why, but I can't. Anyway, you were
I don't
saying?
know. I can figure out a better setup for next time.
It's fine.
But I was saying that on my screen, Penny and Jacob are diagonally across from each other, and then you and I, Julian, are diagonally across from each other. So it's like there's going to be on each side.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't like the movie, and no one in my family did, not even in my extended family. And
Okay.
we're a pretty big family.
Well, then you get to host the negative portion of the review.
Okay, then. I can
Sweet.
Definitely do that without being rude about it.
I guess Jacob and I can go through the pros and what we liked. Or we could do the ones who don't like the movie have to name positives, and the ones who liked it have to name negatives. How do you guys?
No, I think this works fine.
Okay. All right. Well, what I liked at least, I like the cinematography and visual effects. I enjoyed the overall story. I loved Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. That was very well done, in my opinion, at least. I liked. All right, the seat thing I found very awkward, but I liked the interactions between Chris Pine and Gail Gadot. Regardless,
Nothing awkward about that.
That's
probably one of the
the whole desert chase scene I really dug. And then the flying sequence and her in golden armor.
Okay.
How about you, Jacob?
Anything else?
Oh. Well, what I liked about was that the history lesson about the golden armor that it belonged to, Azrael
Asteria.
Asteria is that belonged to
Yeah.
Pat, and it was Patty Jenkins, and it looked like 300 shot.
Yes, there was a Spartan vibe going to it. That was cool.
I really appreciated
and also, what's
that.
my favorite part?
Okay.
You were saying, Jacob?
As for my part, I liked when we had the beautiful lie was there for a reason, because it represents, the idea of Wonder Bat, that Wonder Bat are the keeper of the truth and lie. And also how it represents the way of, the beautiful lie of good man is still good. And plus, and my personal favorite was that time where we had Cheetah versus Wonder Woman scene. I mean, that was a great shot. We see a real cheetah,
Oh dear.
You okay?
Yes,
Julian?
I'm sure furry fans went wild on that one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, that one was a little late coming in, but yeah.
That was fine. I chuckled.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack, but right off the bat, I was confused. I like Lily Aspel, and I think she's great as a young Diana, but seeing her compete in that tournament already was jarring because her mother was against the idea of her training. Now, this might not be the same as combat training, but she's still putting herself at risk, leaping across the obstacle courses, riding a horse, firing arrows, and all that. So right there, I thought, as cool as it was to see, it didn't fit, thematically or chronologically, for that matter. She didn't really ramp up her training until she was in her teens.
At the same time, though, there is a clear distinction between training to be a warrior and training for fitness and fun, that kind of thing.
That is true, but with all that being said, it just felt off, and it ultimately didn't feel like it mattered to the story in the end. I mean, there is a thing that I felt like, yes, there are no shortcuts to greatness, but it didn't resonate as strongly as I would have hoped it would. And then we cut straight to the 80s, where we see her not only saving the day, but doing it in her armor, no less. She's not exactly doing the best job about being discreet. Sure, she cuts out the security cameras, but everybody sees her doing it. She even stops to interact briefly. And I'm sorry, but I have seen better action on the CW. Okay, like I've seen better action from Supergirl. This was, I'm sorry, but it was kind of atrocious at times. Like there were some good
What we're
moments.
talking about for the sequel, they need a better screenwriting team, and that's part of why.
They thought too much about I feel you bring up a good point there, and I must say they feel like they thought about how much they could replicate the Linda Carter show that they never asked, should they?
Yeah, that is a good point. I feel my parents, everyone I was watching with, they felt like this was just a clear attempt at nostalgia, and it was not working for any of us.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the thing is like it captured a lot of that like Donner era cheese and whatnot, but at what cost to the story?
That whole scene to me felt like I was watching a snippet of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie.
Oh God. And the worst part is that that scene was entirely unnecessary to the plot. You didn't need it.
No.
You could have kept going on with that. The Dream Stone ultimately would have been discovered by Max Lordy. All it did, it was simply establish, an action sequence and also establish the times of the 80s.
Yeah.
Which is another thing.
Just to be fair, I do think this is a terrible movie. It's an enjoyable, terrible movie. But a lot of the stuff I like happens to be the fact that I like really corny, bad movies.
So for you, it was so bad that it was good?
It was entertaining as hell, yeah.
I find it very
I definitely thought it had its entertaining moments, yes. Though I don't think the mall sequence was exactly one of them. I felt that whole scene with the kid being dangled over the edge of the balcony was too much. Like, I want to take her seriously. I want her to make me smile, but when she's saving people, make it look a little more real than that.
And then the guys on the other end are like, no.
They were like screaming as if getting hit with
it doesn't even look like they were acting. It looked like they were reading the script.
They didn't look like they were acting at all. They didn't. No. And I'm sure the stunt guys had a lot of fun filming this, but I didn't enjoy it. Okay, now I'm gonna get more serious, and here is where like everybody needs to have a good long thought about this one. Steve Trevor, is he raping the person that he's hosting? Is Diana raping that person? I know it is a terrible question to ask, but I feel like it must be asked. This is not his body.
But a lot of people Diana and talked
Steve
about
know it.
As a sexual assault survivor, I feel like I can safely say that given the way the Dream Stone or the Wish Stone thing works, I don't think that like when she renounces her wish, all of that undoes itself, right? So
that is true.
Yeah. The question is, was the man's soul, was he still there? Did his soul move to heaven? Did his soul like go to heaven in Steve's place where he wouldn't have known those experiences? Did they did their soul swap?
Even with that knowledge, they know it's not his body. They even clearly can see it. It's just so awkward. And even if it doesn't look like that to other people. Yeah. And then there's
the fact that like Patty's reasoning for having that Steve come back that way was because the guy kind of looked like Linda Carter's love interest in the Wonder Woman show from back then. That's the thing is like I understand the want for that reference to all of that, good stuff from the past and nostalgia and all that crap. But not to the detriment of the story. And that's exactly what happened here, was it just so weighted down by nostalgia that it just sunk into the mud.
Okay. So I guess we're saying no, it wasn't a serious violation since the guy probably wasn't aware of it, but I suppose that would only raise more questions than it answers.
Yeah,
It is
I'd
still
say plot
questionable.
hole.
I agree with you. Like
Mm.
Okay,
that's the
then
thing.
let's talk
I
about.
do agree.
All
Mm.
right, then let's talk about whether they needed to be two villains or just one. Do you think that we both needed Barbara and Max Lord in this movie, or do you think maybe one could have filled the role for both characters?
Mm.
Well, I mean, Cheetah and Barbara is the whole reason that Max Lord even gets to the final act and
Mhm.
escapes, because
I
she's
know,
there
but
to help
a
him.
simple realignment, giving Max Lord psychic powers to replace whatever Cheetah does, giving him more power sooner. You got to question whether maybe this film was overstuffed or not. It's got the same issue as the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, where, Electro shows up, but then, oh, look, there's Green Goblin. That's just too much is going on. And here I'm thinking Cheetah, well, we don't really get to enjoy enough of her.
No.
Yeah, she was. I was hoping to see more of Cheetah, and I think that was actually one of my criticisms was I felt like her moments were too short.
Yeah, I mean, we could have seen her transformation, like during to like cat people become, like how you see a scene where she transformed to a cat.
It would have been great if she had immediately transformed into the Cheetah, and then as it progressed, she looked less and less human.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sort of like in the comics, there's a version of the Cheetah that's more muscular, more animal-like in appearance, and that would have worked well, like just to show how more power, less humanity. But
Mhm.
when we
Yeah.
see her fighting Diana for the first time, she still looks perfectly normal. She just, seems selfish.
Well, that's because she changed her wish when she was in the plane with Max Lord. She renounced her wish by saying, "I don't want to be like anyone else."
But that's
And
not
then
what
she
she wished to
changes
be
her
like
wish to,
originally.
"I want to be an apex predator."
Yeah, but
She
Max.
renounced her wish.
Yeah,
But
Max
that's
was
not what
able
she
to.
At
originally
first,
wished
she wished
for, so
to be
I'm
like
not sure if
Diana.
that tracks. She didn't wish to be like anyone originally. She wished to be like Diana, and Diana
Yeah, but then
definitely isn't
in the
anything.
plane sequence,
I know,
Max
she
said he
said
could.
she wanted to be Apex Predator, which I thought chronicle much. Seriously.
But also Max said he could grant another wish because
I know that part.
he
That
could.
part is true, and I felt like that could have still worked, if she was already part cheetah but still looked human. Here's where she's basically sacrificing everything she has and becomes a full-blown monster.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Maybe
Not
that's
to
just
make
my
it
2 cents on it.
not to make it too meta, but it could just be that they held off on transforming her for the sake of the budget.
They had a pretty big budget.
True.
Yeah, I understand CGI villains are definitely harder to come by than usual, and we don't want another debacle like Cats. God forbid that ever happens again.
I mean, I know I talk about this movie a lot, but Power Rangers had a smaller budget, and I felt that they were able to do a whole lot more than they did in this movie with some of the special
Especially
effects.
with the Zords.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends on the VFX team that's working on it, and it depends.
that is true. Because art styles
She
do
needs a better
range.
team. All right, let's just
and all
face
that
it.
kind of thing too. It depends with
Patty's
some of the producers that were
team,
on Wonder Woman 84.
that was kind of subpar in my opinion.
I was off and on. I
They
loved.
definitely could have done better.
I think the one part I
Julian,
wish.
you weren't here for this, but
The one. The
something that I
one
talked
part.
about before. Something I was talking about before Julian got in.
Yeah.
The something that Dave said, which is that like there's some weird vibes around the movie that kind of the same as like with what happened with Suicide Squad and BVS, is that something's not quite right in the water here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Like studio meddling?
Yes. Well, I mean, given how closely involved Jeff Johns was with it, and not to sound too tinfoil hat, but with there being so much focus on Zack Snyder and his getting his creative freedom with Justice League, and with the question now being, are you getting creative control with this project? I can't help but wonder if it's kind of like with the press tour for Justice League in 2017, where they're being told to say what they're saying.
Well, I don't think it's the same. I do think Patty, I genuinely think she wanted to make the movie that she's made. And I
or she's
think
at least
that,
happy with it.
I would say she's happy with it. If her reactions are anything to go by. You notice that when the movie came out for Justice League, everyone was quiet. Everyone.
Yeah.
And I mean, admittedly, Justice League did much worse.
Well,
So
I mean, that's
there's
why
not.
that's why I was likening it more to BVS and Suicide Squad, is because it seems like the reception is more divided, like it was for those ones.
Like
Which,
Suicide
again, would
Squad,
tie back
definitely
to-
like Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That seems like a good example. Though I don't think the meddling, in this case, since Jeff Johns was always part of the plan, it's more complicated because I think, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
weird. It definitely feels strange to see
Well,
this film deviate so much from the original Wonder Woman film.
If you ask me, I think Jeff Johns is part of the problem of everything involving with the DCEU where Walter Amada taking place. I'm pretty sure every film that from 2018 to 2020, a lot of films has been meddling by Jeff and Walter's hands. It's like they're becoming
Yeah.
this kind of direction, like a cul-de-sac they're really at, not a real line.
Yeah, and actually I wanted to get into that. So it's quite obvious that, Jeff Johns had a big part to play in this film and in others. His company is one of the main producers for this movie, Mad Ghost Productions, which is honestly, I think, a terrible name. But anyway, he's still supposedly writing the script for the new Green Lantern movie. What are the odds that
They
he's
gave him a
actually...
second chance?
No.
I
See,
don't think
he was already writing that before Wonder Woman 1984 was even in the works, I think. From what I understand.
No, I mean, didn't he write the first one?
Not officially, no.
Okay.
If you pay attention to the IMDb credits, he is not listed anywhere except as an executive producer. So as far as, the public is concerned, he had next to nothing to do with it. Though in my personal opinion, he is responsible for everything. I mean, Jeff Johns fans will eat me alive for saying this, but I do believe that he indeed meddled things behind the scenes to the point where everything was brought to ruin. Because he wanted so much so fast. Yeah.
But
for example, hang on. I don't want to take up too much time, but he tries to have everything in his movies. If you look at Aquaman, for example, so much is in there. There's Black Manta, there's Ocean Master, and there's the Karathan. That is so many characters in the opening Aquaman movie, and I feel like it limits the possibilities for the sequel.
So he's basically Avi Arad.
And if you looked at Green Lantern, look at all the villains that are in that. You've got Sinestro being set up at the end. Before that, you've got Hector Hammond, and you've got Parallax. That is way too much for an opening movie. And I feel like the similarity between Green Lantern and Aquaman, well, that's just, it's weird, honestly.
He's basically DC's Avi Arad.
I do not care for that name.
He is such a wannabe. He thinks he's
Yeah,
better. More in his first.
Well, I'd say we're coming towards our end, and we've pretty much given all we could talk about with Wonder Woman 84. Final thoughts? I'd say it's a fun, enjoyable, bad movie, but it's still a bad movie.
Yeah.
You guys?
I would say it's just a bad movie. There are enjoyable parts, but it is too long. It is too bad in other parts, and ultimately, no, I do not find this experience overall to be enjoyable.
Okay. Morgan?
There's some narrative failings, definitely, but I mean, I still watched it 3 times when I rented it.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of speaks for itself.
Mhm.
My
Sweet,
family
and
fell
then
asleep with the movie.
Jacob.
I think I like it, but sometimes I wish they did improve it well with the editing and scenes.
Sounds good.
The film.
All right. Well then, that was good talk. We do not know our topic for next time, but once we know, we will do it. So till
All right.
next time, have a great week, and we'll see you next week, everyone.